Hey guys, it's Surya and today is Monday, which means it's time for another tutorial. Today I'm going to be teaching you the axis cube, which is another shape mod of the 3x3. They're both pretty similar. So now, I've already stressed this many times in the video, but I really think you should watch my video on the 3x3 first, because in that I really go in depth in everything, especially when it comes to solving the yellow cross. So anyway, yeah, all the links are in the description. Hope you enjoy the video. So before we go into solving this, let's just answer the question, what is this? Like, what is this? You hold the cube this way and you can see this sort of pattern, but you can't really move any of these pieces. The cube seems to turn in this sort of weird way, which splits the cube, and when jumbled, it just looks even weirder. What is this? Well, you may remember from my last week's tutorial on the Fisher cube that the Fisher cube is just a 3x3, just turned by 45 degrees. If you were to hold the Fisher cube this way, you can see that it is just a 3x3. Well, that's exactly what the axis cube is. The axis cube is just a 3x3, but just rotated in a very weird way. As you can see, these are centers. If you play around with this for long enough, you'll start noticing that when these sides move, these pieces remain stationary. Just take a look. And once we've established that these are centers, everything else starts to make sense. When you point the cube at yourself, just like the 3x3, you can see these 4 dots. Just like in the 3x3, you can see 4 dots. So that would make these edges and these corners. But then you'd say, wait a second, I see edges here and edges here, but they don't look the same. So are you saying that you were wrong just now, or are you saying that there are 2 different edges? Well, I'm saying that there are 2 different types of edges in the axis cube and 2 different types of corners. This is a corner and so is this. This is an edge and so is this. So one good way to recognize them is edges can either have 2 sides or be a trapezium, and corners can either have 3 sides or be triangles. So you could just think about it like that. Now, I don't know if there's an official name for these edges, but I'm just going to call them flat edges and bent edges, flat corners and bent corners. I'm just going to call them that because that makes it much easier. So yeah, when you hold it like this, you can clearly see that these kind of look like edge pieces and these look like corners. You can see. So as you start playing around with these for long enough, they start to make sense eventually. But yeah, don't worry about if you still cannot understand it. After watching my tutorial, you might get a better understanding of how this stuff works. So enough of this, let's get into how to solve the cube. So the axis cube genuinely looks intimidating when it's jumbled, even more than the Fisher cube, but just stay calm. Let's just remember what I taught earlier. Just keep in mind that this is just a 3x3. So first let's find the centers. So here's the center. Here's one, for example. Now let's just point that towards us and hold the cube this way at all times, with the edges to the sides like this and the corners above and below. So when you do this, things start to make slightly more sense. And now when you rotate the cube, make sure you do it in 90-degree steps. And just be really slow about this. Don't be in any sort of rush. Just take your time, really. Slow down the video if you have to. Just do whatever you want. Do whatever you need to. So yeah. So let's start with the first side. I usually pick the center which has white and red. This one. That makes it easier for me to explain white layer and yellow layer and white cross, yellow cross, all that stuff. So I'm just going to pick white and red, but anything is fine. So now, how do you tell where the trapeziums go and where the bent edges go? Well, here's a good tip to keep in mind. You'll notice that every single center has a shorter side and a longer side, like this. It's kind of like a cliff. So just keep in mind that, and by the way, each of these sides, these tips rather, have 2 adjacent edges, right? Yeah, so just keep in mind that the two adjacent edges to the taller side will always be bent edges, and the shorter side will have only parallel flat edges to both its sides, like that. So yeah, just keep that in mind when solving. So anyway, let's get to it now. So we have a taller side and a shorter side. Let's start with the shorter side. This is the shorter one. So these two edges must be flat edges. So let's start with this one. We need a white flat edge. There's only one. Let's just search for it. It's not anywhere here. Let's search in the middle layer. It's not anywhere there. Let's search in the bottommost layer now. It's not here. It's not here. It's not here. And it's here. So this is the one we're looking for, and it needs to go there. So let's just move this side twice to bring it there. So sometimes it matches, and sometimes it ends up looking like this, which is a pretty weird state. So when it's like this, it basically means that the piece is flipped. In this situation, you just do what you would do in a 3x3. Just flip the piece. I really think you should watch my video on the 3x3 first. So yeah, just go ahead and watch that, and then yeah, so you do what you would there. So just move this side here and flip the piece. So that flips it, and now it's aligned well. Let's go to the next one, which is also part of the shorter side. So this will also be a flat edge, and it's a red one. So let's search for that. It's not anywhere here. Could it be in the middle layer? No, it's not in the middle layer, and it's in the bottom layer. It's over here. So this piece needs to go there. So we just do what we would in the 3x3. Move this twice, and as you can see, it doesn't match anymore. We just do what I just now explained a second ago. Move this side once, move this here, and bring this side up. That matches it well. So we have these two pieces that are solved. So now that we've finished solving both these flat edges of the first layer, we can go on to doing both the bent edges, which is on the taller side. But before I go into that, I just want to mention something. You may have noticed how I've only been matching the pieces to its top center, but not to any of these side centers. Well, that's actually because of how the side centers are shaped. I mean, actually matching them would just cause like setbacks. It would just take much longer, and it wouldn't really be that useful because of the fact that they're made up of two colors and there's all this weird shape and all that. You don't really need to match it, but you can always do so if you want to. Anyway, let's go into it. So now we need to be solving one bent edge over here and one over here. So over here, we need one bent edge that's white in color and one that's of a different color. So how do we know which one we need to place? Well, basically, we just need to use trial and error. We have two white bent edges. One is over here, which is a white and a green bent edge, and the other one should be somewhere. Let's just search for it. It's over here. This is a white and an orange bent edge. So we basically need to place both of them in this place and see which one matches. So let's just do that. That piece goes there. Now, as you can see, it's not perfectly aligned. Now you may just say, okay, well, this is a problem we encountered for this as well. It wasn't perfectly aligned, so we just flip it around. But it's a bit more trickier than that when it comes to the bent edges. With the bent edges, if it doesn't match physically, that means it's the wrong piece. Even if you flip it, it's not going to match correctly. That's because this piece is actually a parallelogram. So flipping it around would just switch these two long pieces, these two long corners. So that piece would just go there and it would still be out of place. So that basically means that this piece cannot be here at all. It would probably go somewhere else. So let's take the other one, this one, and place it where it needs to be. Now when we place it, we see that even this one does not match, but that's only in terms of the color. As you can see, it physically fits. It's like smooth over here, smooth surface, you can feel it. So that would actually mean that it is the correct piece, but just flipped in its place. If you find that it matches perfectly even with the color, then that's fine. you've basically skipped the next step that I'm about to do. But okay, I'm just going to explain what to do if this piece ends up like this. So you do exactly what you would for the parallelogram. Move this side once, bring this side this way, and move this side up. So that solves this piece as well. Let's do the last one. The last one is a red and some color. We don't really know what. Or do we? You see, when we finished this one, we now know that this side has to be a green side, right? Because whatever side, this one's a white, this one's a red, this one must be a green one. Why? Because we've placed this green edge here. It's in the right place. Which means that this piece has to be a red and a green, because that's the two sides this edge would be going in between. So as you can see, we have the piece in its place but flipped. So let's do exactly what we just did. Twist this once, move this to the side, and bring this up. So that solves the white cross. It's technically white and red cross, but I'm just going to call it white since that's the first color that we did. So yeah, so that solves the white cross. Now we can go on to solving the white corners. So solving the first layer's corners can be tricky, but not as tricky as solving the edges was, since we now know the colors. We know that this is a green, this is a white, and this is a red. So we can just roughly place the pieces where they need to be. So that's fine. So let's go into the doing it. So let's start with this. Yeah. So this is a flat corner. It's a white triangle. So we're looking for a white triangle. So it's not anywhere here. Let's check in the bottom layer. It's not here. It's not here. It's not here. And it's here. So let's do exactly what we would in the 3x3. Let's bring it right under where it needs to go. And here we're stuck. How do we do what we would in the 3x3? We don't really know what side to do the algorithm. But here, you just hold the cube like this with one center above you and two of the centers, like, I don't know, facing your ears, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, but basically you have the edge between these two centers facing you. And you just see how this piece fits in by turning this side and turning this side. So let's first turn this side and see what happens. The piece does not match, which means that we cannot hold the cube like this and do the algorithm, since that would put it in the wrong place. We need to hold it this way. We can always check that. It does match perfectly, which means that this piece needs to go there. So we just bring it to the side, bring it down, bring it back, and bring it up. Now be very slow about this and be very careful. You might accidentally do just a half turn and then get stuck. So just be really careful about that and go really slow. Make sure you can always see these 4 dots. These 4 dots usually help you check whether or not you've made a 90-degree turn. When you've done something like this, you don't have 4 dots. You have 2 full dots and 2 half dots. So they don't really count. These are 4 full dots. So yeah, anyway, we finished one corner. Let's go to the next. Let's do this one. So this would be a bent corner. Actually, in the axis cube, there are only 2 bent corners. See, I just thought I'd mention that. Yeah, so let's just search for that piece. It's not anywhere in the top layer. Let's check the bottom layer. It's not here. It's not here. And it's over here. So now we just hold this like this and see how it matches. Does it match like this? No. Does it match like this? Yes. Which means that this piece needs to go up like this. So we do exactly what we did just before. Bring this to the side, bring this down, bring this back, and bring it up. So that solves the second one. Let's go to the third one, which is this. It's a flat red corner. So let's just search for that. It's not anywhere in the top layer. Let's check the bottom layer. It's over here. Now let's just see how it matches. It doesn't match here. And it doesn't match here. How is that? Well, this is basically analogous to the white side of the corner being right opposite to the layer. So it basically needs to be turned. It's out of place completely. Basically, the white piece is on the bottom layer, if that makes sense. So in this situation, we just need to twist the piece once and then put it in its place. So let's just bring it right under where it needs to go. And now let's move this side down and move this layer twice. And now bring this back up. Now, when we bring the same piece under, we see that it matches in one of the orientations. That's because we just now twisted the piece by one step. So now we can just bring it here, move this to the side, bring this down, bring this back, and bring it up. So that solves this piece as well. Let's do the last one. Here we have a piece that's in its place, but just twisted. So what do we do here? Well, we pretend that this piece needs to go there, and once it goes there, this piece will be removed. So we can keep it where it needs to go in the right way. So let's do that. As you can see, it's still kind of difficult for me to do this. So really, there's no need for you to hurry to get comfortable with this cube. You can still be slightly, confused with it, I guess. So now this piece needs to go there. It doesn't match here, and it doesn't match here. So we do what we just did. Move the side down and move the bottom layer twice. That twists the piece once. And now it will match correctly in one of the twists. There, it matches here, which means that this piece needs to go there. Now move this to the side, bring this down, bring this back, and bring it up. So now we've completed the first layer. Now let's just orient these centers and then solve the second layer. So before we go into how to align the centers correctly, we first need to match the first layer to its centers. And if in case you remember, we didn't actually do that while solving the first layer because we didn't have to. So we can just do that now. It doesn't take too much time. It's really simple. So here we just need to find one center with a white color on it, since there can only be one. This is a parallelogram edge. We obviously can't search for green since there would be two edges with green on them, one over here and one over here. So let's just search for that. It's over here. So this one matches correctly. And as you can see, yes, there are two centers with green, one over here and one over here. Anyway, so now that we have all the centers matched, we just need to align them correctly. And now I just want to talk about how to figure that out quickly. So let's just start with aligning the centers closer to the flat edges, these two. So when it comes to centers touching flat edges, they need their two shorter sides to be as close as possible. And when I say shorter sides, I mean these. So we need these two to actually be really, really close. So we can't have this tall side over here, since it should technically be there. These two should be as far away from each other as possible. So let's align this correctly such that this part of the center is over here. So now it's the same thing as we would do in the Fisher cube. If you haven't seen my video on that, you should. So let's move this side twice, move the bottom layer twice, and now let's align this correctly. We need the short sides to be as close as possible, over here and here. But here comes a problem. Once we move these two back, it doesn't align properly. We'll have to move this side again twice, which means that now the center is 180 degrees away from where it's supposed to be. So in reality, when we're setting the edge, the center properly, after moving the side twice and the bottom layer twice, we're supposed to set it half a turn away from where it needs to be, half a full turn. So let's set it over here, 1, 2. So that's exactly 180 degrees from where it's supposed to be. So now let's move the bottom layer back. As you can see, it matches perfectly now. And move this side twice. So that matches this center. This center just happens to be aligned already. Let's continue. Now when it comes to parallelogram, this bent edges, we need to do the exact opposite of what I did earlier. We now need the two tall sides to be kind of close, not too close. This center is not supposed to be here, but it's supposed to be touching this sharp edge of this bent edge, if that made sense. So we can't have the short side here, we need it to be there. We need the tall side to be here. So let's do the algorithm for that. It's the same thing as before. Move this side twice, move the bottom layer twice. Now align it exactly where it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be like this, with this tall side being kind of close to this. So let's just turn it twice now. Now let's move this bottom layer back. As you can see, it matches correctly. And move this side twice. So now it's properly aligned. So let's go and do, oh, the last one's already fixed, but I'll just undo that so that I can explain it to you once more. Let's just undo that. Yeah. So now we need this tall part of the center to be touching this. So it needs to be moving this way. So let's move this side twice. Move the bottom layer away. Align it. It's supposed to be this way, which means we align it here, exactly 2 turns away from where it needs to be. Now move this side back. As you can see, it matches. And move this side here. So now since we've aligned all the centers, we can go on to doing the second layer. So solving the second layer is actually really easy. So let's just go over that. It's the same as solving the second layer for the 3x3. So you could check that out. The link's in the description, by the way. Yeah. So let's start with, I don't know. Let's start with this one. We need a flat blue edge to be here with its longer side down. And I'll show you why. Just give me a second. Let's search for it first. It's not here. It's not here. It's not here, and it's not here. It's not here. Not here. And it's over here. Now let's see what happens if this piece needs to go there. It doesn't match properly. That basically means that the longer side has to be going down. Like this. So this piece needs to be going here. We just do what we would in the 3x3. Move the up side clockwise, right side clockwise, up anti-clockwise, right side anti-clockwise, up anti-clockwise, front anti-clockwise, up clockwise, front clockwise. That solves this. Let's go to the next, which is this one. We need a red and a yellow edge. So let's search for that. It's over here. So let's keep it here and check, does it need to go this way? No, it would be flipped if it went in that way. So it needs to be going this way, to its left. So here's what we would do in that situation. Up anti-clockwise, left anti-clockwise, up clockwise, left anti-clockwise, oh no, clockwise, up clockwise, front clockwise, up anti-clockwise, and front anti-clockwise. That solves this. Let's go on to do the next one, which is this. It's another bent edge. This piece needs to go in there. Would it need to go in this way? No, it would be flipped. So it would need to go this way. We can always check. Yes, it does. So let's do that. It's the same as before. So that solves this one. Let's do the last one. Here we have an edge which is in its place but flipped. So in this situation, we just pretend that a different piece like this one needs to go in there. That would remove this one, and then we can keep it in the right way. So that piece needs to go there. Let's just do what we would always do. So now we've done that and we've removed this piece. Let's put it in the right way. We need the short side to go in, which means that the piece has to go in this way, not this way. It would be flipped if it went in that way. Doesn't match. So this piece needs to go in there. Let's do that. And that solves the second layer. As you can see, the cube is really starting to form now. We only have the last layer left, which is probably pretty confusing. So buckle up, let's go on to that. So when solving the last layer of the axis cube, we do exactly what we would do in the 3x3. We first solve the yellow cross, then we solve the corners, and then we rearrange all the pieces. So let's first solve the yellow cross. Now there are just a few situations we can get with the edges. They can either be like up or down. So let's just take a look at all of them. We do that by matching them to their places and then checking if they match or not. So let's start with this one. This is a blue and an orange. Let's put it between the blue and orange sides. Does it match? No, it's flipped. So this one's down. Let's just keep our finger on that. This one is down. We only need to check 3 because based on the number of situations we can get, we will never get a situation where we have only one piece that's up. It's either no piece up, 2 pieces up, or 4 up. Anyway, let's go on to the next one. This is a flat yellow. So let's put it over here and check. It does not match. So even this one does not match. Let's check the last one, blue and yellow. Let's bring it where those two intersect. And even this one does not match. So this would basically mean that none of them match. We can always check by checking the last one. It does not match. So here we have what's known as a dot, which basically means that none of them match. It doesn't really look like a dot right now. I don't really know what I'm looking at here. So yeah, it looks like a dot in a 3x3. So yeah, just ignore the corners entirely. Just look at the edges. So in this situation, you would go just anywhere and do exactly what you would do in the 3x3. Here's what you do. Front clockwise, right side clockwise, up clockwise, right side anti-clockwise, up anti-clockwise, and front anti-clockwise. So that brings us to the next situation, the hook. I mean, I haven't really checked it, but I mean, based on what I know about the 3x3, I know that you get the hook next. But let's just take a look. This one doesn't match. This one also does not match. Let's check this one. This one matches, as you can see. And let's check this one. This one also matches. So we have two adjacent matching edges, which is the hook. These two. We don't have two adjacent matching edges. They're more like two adjacent up edges, I guess. So in this situation, you just hold one facing you and the other one facing the right side, and you do the exact same algorithm again. And that brings us to the next situation, which is the bar, which is two opposite edges facing up. So we can just check that. Does this match? No. Does this one match? Let's check. Yes, this one matches. Does this one match? No, it does not. Let's check the last one. Does this one match? Yes, it does, which means that these two match and these two don't. So we have the bar, which is one line in the 3x3. So in this situation, you just hold both the matching edges opposite to each other, and one to the right and one to the left. And here's what you do. You do the same thing as before. And there you go. And that solves the yellow cross. If you were to test and check each of the edges, you would see that they all match. These two match here, and this one matches, and this one matches. So they all match, which means that we have reached the yellow cross. Now we need to solve the yellow corners. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, before I show you guys how to solve all the yellow corners, I just want to say something real quick. So because of the fact that there are 4 yellow corners and each of them have 3 places they can be in, there are a lot of situations, even though there are some that are not possible. And when it comes to a cube like this, a really confusing cube, it's not always useful to be trying to like spot all the situations. So I'm just going to show you 2 of the most important situations. The others, it's just easier to apply them at random, just a random side, or check my video out, check my video on the 3x3. That actually explains each and every one of the situations. Another alternative is to just figure it out on your own. I know it seems really difficult given the cube that we have, but just try it out. So anyway, let's get into the first situation that I will be explaining in this video, the cross, which is just the cross. There's no pieces up, there's no corners up at all. So let's just check each and every one of them. This one does not match. Let's check this one. This one also does not match. Let's check this. This one does not match. And this one does not match. So neither one of them match. We have the cross. So in this situation, you just go to a side where there's no yellow. Not literal yellow, but yeah. So this can be really hard to find, but I'm just going to show you how to do it. So just take a look at how the pieces need to twist in order to get solved. So this piece here needs to twist this way to get solved. So that piece needs to go up there, which means that this pointy side can be thought of as a yellow piece. So this side altogether has yellow on it. So that's not a good idea. We can't do it over here. If we just take a look at this edge, even this piece needs to rotate this way to get solved, counterclockwise. That's because this is a green side and the green face of this corner is over here. So both these pieces need to rotate this way, which means that they both have yellow pieces over here, which both need to go to the top. So we can't do the algorithm here. And by the way, it's the same algorithm as in the 3x3, and just in case you didn't know that. Yeah, so let's go over here, which is the opposite side. Let's take a look at these two pieces. This piece needs to rotate this way, which is clockwise, and that is also not suitable since that piece would technically need to go there, which makes this the yellow. So even this is not a suitable side. We don't even need to check this one, but we can always do so if we just want to be extra sure. Let's bring that there. That piece needs to twist this way, which means that this piece will need to go there. So this is a yellow. So we can't do this side or this side. Let's check this one. So this piece needs to rotate this way, counterclockwise, and that makes that piece the yellow, needs to go there. So that makes this a not yellow. Now let's check this one. This piece needs to rotate this way, clockwise. That makes this piece the yellow and it needs to go there. So there's no yellow here either. So we can start over here. And here's what we do. Right side clockwise, up clockwise, right side anti-clockwise, up clockwise, right side clockwise, up clockwise twice, and right side anti-clockwise. So that brings us to the next situation I will explain, the fish. I know it really doesn't look like a fish. It doesn't look like anything. If anything, it doesn't even look like we've made any progress since our start, but we have. Just trust me on this. We're almost there. So let's check each and every one of the pieces. This one doesn't match. This one matches. This piece matches. This one does not match. And this piece also does not match, which means that this is the only piece that matches. So in this situation, you just hold the matching piece to your left and you keep it in front, by the way. And here's, you do the exact same algorithm. And that solves the yellow side. I know it really doesn't look like you've solved it, but you can always check. Sometimes you go back to the exact same situation as you did before, which is the fish again. In that situation, you just do the exact same thing again. You keep the up piece, the yellow piece, to your left, and you do the exact same algorithm again. That will get you to this situation. If you check, each of the edges match. This one matches, this one matches, and this one matches, and this one matches. So that's all 4 of the edges, and all 4 of the corners match as well. This one matches, this one matches, this one also matches, and this one matches. So all of them match really. And now we can go on to doing the last step, which is rearranging all the pieces. we will first rearrange all the corners and then the edges. So let's do that. So first, when rearranging the corners, let's see if any adjacent corners match at all. So let's see, do these two match? No. Do these two match? No. Because this one matches, so we can always check. That's why. These two don't match. This one matches, so we can check against this. These two don't match. And these two don't match. So we only have these two opposite corners that are matching. None of the others are matching. So in this situation, you can just go to any side you want and do this algorithm. If you do find two edges that are matching, I'll show you what to do in a second. So here's what you do. It's the same as in a 3x3. Right side anti-clockwise, front clockwise, right side anti-clockwise, back anti-clockwise twice. Now be really careful about this, okay? Because it's the back, you can easily get confused and do too many moves or too few. So be very careful about this. So let's go 1 and 2. That's all. Right side clockwise, front anti-clockwise, right side anti-clockwise, back anti-clockwise twice, and right side clockwise twice. Now I don't know if you can hear that in the background, but that's actually my cat. He deserves an introduction. He'll get one someday, so just get ready for that. Anyway, now if we check, we can see that we do have two adjacent corners that match, one here and one here. So now when we get this, we put them behind us here and we do the exact same algorithm again. That would switch these two. So let's do that. So that solves the corners. If we just check them, you see that they do match. Finally, it looks like we're making some progress here. And as a matter of fact, you might notice even the center is already aligned. It doesn't have to be aligned, but you may find it like that. Oh wait, no. Yeah, it will always be aligned. That's because aligning 5 out of 6 centers actually aligns the 6th one as well. So yeah, I just thought I should let you know. Now let's go on to doing the final step, which is rearranging the edges. So now when solving the edges, this situation looks really familiar. All these edges need to move in a clockwise direction. We could try to use the same algorithm as we would in the 3x3. We could just try to do front twice, up once clockwise, and all that stuff. But the problem with that algorithm is that actually switches these centers by 180 degrees. Now that doesn't make any sort of difference in the 3x3 since centers are symmetrical, but it is a very big problem over here, which is why we need a way to overcome that. So that's actually why I developed an update to this algorithm, and I used it in the Fisher cube where the orientation of this particular edge does matter. So we can just use the same thing again. So here's what we do when the edges need to go in a clockwise direction. Now if you don't have any of the edges matching, you can just do this algorithm in any direction you want. That is bound to solve one of the edges, and then you can do what I'm about to do. So we have one edge that's matching. We just go to the side opposite to it, and here's what we do. They need to move in a clockwise direction. So here, front clockwise twice, up anti-clockwise once, right side anti-clockwise, left side clockwise, front clockwise twice, right side clockwise, left side anti-clockwise, up clockwise twice, right side anti-clockwise, left side clockwise, front clockwise twice, right side clockwise, left side anti-clockwise, and up anti-clockwise once, and front clockwise twice. So that solves it for pieces needing to go clockwise. Now let's do it for counterclockwise. So here, as you can see, the pieces need to be going in a counterclockwise direction. So when we get this situation, we go opposite to the solved piece as usual. And here's what we do. Front clockwise twice, up anti-clockwise, clockwise, sorry, up clockwise, right side anti-clockwise, left side clockwise, front clockwise twice, right side clockwise, left side anti-clockwise, front up clockwise twice, right side anti-clockwise, left side clockwise, front clockwise twice, right side clockwise, left side anti-clockwise, up clockwise once, and front clockwise twice. So that solves the axis cube. Congratulations, you've solved it. I hope you had fun doing this.